All right, buckle up for a deep dive into the Final Destination world.
Hmm.
Where cheating death has some serious consequences.
Oh, yeah.
The whole the premonition of a horrific accident, saving yourself and a few others, only for death to come knocking.
Right, right.
But for this deep dive, we're focusing on Final Destination, Bloodlines, the sixth film.
Okay.
And this one, it throws a huge twist into how death usually operates.
Yeah, Bloodlines definitely changes things up. The main character, Stephanie, her story, it's so different from any of the other Final Destination protagonists.
It really is. I mean, she's not even at the initial accident that starts the whole chain reaction.
Hmm.
Instead, she's tormented by these, vivid, recurring nightmares of people dying violent deaths. Super unsettling.
It is a big shift from the other movies where the main character always has that premonition, and they're right there in that first near-death experience.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, is death now picking targets based on more than just being in the wrong place?
That's a great question. And get this, Stephanie's grandmother, she also had premonitions. Decades earlier, she saved people from a building collapse because she had a vision.
Wow.
Coincidence? Maybe. But it definitely hints at a family connection to these, disturbing glimpses into the future.
Yeah, the grandmother's premonitions, they suggest it might run in the family. This isn't just some random person. It's like a lineage, a family tied to something bigger, something maybe a lot darker.
I know, right? So instead of just trying to escape death's crazy, elaborate plans, could Bloodlines actually show us where these premonitions come from?
Potentially. It's a really interesting idea. And what's even more interesting is that William Bludworth is back. You know, the coroner from the other movies?
Bloodworth. Oh man, that name gives me chills just thinking about him.
I know, right? His cryptic stuff in the past movies always hinted that he understands death's rules, how it all works. What if Bloodlines makes him like a mentor to Stephanie? Someone who actually knows how to maybe break the cycle, or at least understand it better?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Bloodworth as a guide in this world where death seems to have it out for Stephanie's family specifically. And they're talking about having flashbacks to the 1960s too. Think about what we could learn.
Oh, for sure. Those flashbacks could tell us so much about Bloodworth's past, which would then shed light on what's happening to Stephanie now.
Yeah, his connection to Stephanie's grandmother, his own encounters with death, maybe even how he got all this knowledge.
It's not just about these scary death scenes anymore. This is getting deep into the whole philosophy behind Final Destination.
It really feels like Bloodlines is taking the franchise to a whole new level. We're not just watching a horror movie. It's like peering into the abyss of existence.
Right.
And that's what's so captivating. It could be a terrifying thrill ride and this deep exploration of fate, free will, and what death really is.
It really feels like the franchise is like leveling up, moving past just showing us these elaborate death traps and asking why this stuff even happens.
Yeah. Let's dig into that a bit. In every Final Destination movie, those who survive that first premonition-fueled disaster, they get picked off one by one in these really creative and gruesome ways, right? But what if, and stay with me here, what if the premonitions themselves are actually part of death's plan?
Ooh, that's a good point. Like, what if those visions aren't just random glimpses of the future, but like death's way of manipulating things, drawing those targets into this messed up game?
Hold on, wouldn't that make the whole cheating death thing pointless? I mean, where's the suspense if we're all just puppets?
Well, that's the creepy question Bloodline seems to be asking, and it just raises the stakes even more. Like, if even trying to defy death is part of death's plan, what does that even say about free will? Are we really in control of our own destiny?
Man, I had this dream once where I was driving, and the car just veered off the road. It felt so real, I actually swerved in my sleep. It made me think, was that a glimpse of the future or just my mind messing with me?
It's a freaky thought, right? That feeling of, like, helplessness, being at the mercy of something we don't understand. Final Destination totally plays on that fear of the unknown, that fear of death, We can't escape it.
Totally. And if Bloodlines is really going with this idea that death is intentionally pulling the strings, it takes that fear to a whole other level.
Yeah, for sure. It suggests that death might have, like, a specific goal, and certain people, like Stephanie and her family, they're in its sights for reasons we don't even know.
Instead of just trying to outrun death, Stephanie might have to figure out why she and her family were even chosen for this terrifying game in the first place.
Right. It's not about just surviving anymore. It's about understanding the rules of the game, maybe even finding a way to change them.
And that's where William Bludworth could be important, right? If anyone has insight into Death's grand plan, it's him.
Definitely. Bloodworth's role in Bloodlines could be huge in figuring out the mysteries about Stephanie's family and where the premonitions come from. He's always been in that gray area. Knowing more than he says, is he an ally? Is he working for death? Or is he something else entirely?
Ooh, good question. And those flashbacks to the 1960s, if we get them, we might finally learn about his past and how he fits into this whole web of fate and death.
Imagine seeing a young Bloodworth, just starting to understand what death really is. Maybe we'll see the first time he encounters a premonition, how he struggles to wrap his head around these forces.
That would add so much to his character. And to the whole Final Destination world, it's not just some creepy coroner anymore. We could be dealing with someone who's been wrestling with the mysteries of death for decades.
Exactly. It's like Bloodlines is uncovering this conspiracy that's been brewing for generations, with Stephanie and Bloodworth caught right in the middle.
Man, this deep dive is making me realize that Final Destination, Bloodlines, might be the most ambitious movie in the whole franchise.
It definitely seems ready to push the limits of what we expect from a Final Destination movie.
It's not just about the deaths anymore, is it?
No, it's about exploring the bigger picture, the philosophy behind this world where death is always there, looming. It's about wrestling with fate, the idea of free will, and this terrifying thought that we're all just pawns in some cosmic game.
It's crazy, right? Final Destination has gone from this fun, gory ride to something way deeper. Who would have thought we'd be talking about, like, existential stuff while breaking down a horror movie?
I know, right? But that's what a good horror story does. It entertains you, scares you, and sometimes it makes you face these, uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world.
And Bloodlines seems like it's going to do just that. Taking everything we thought we knew about Final Destination and flipping it. What if instead of just being random accidents waiting to happen, the premonitions are all part of death's plan?
It would change the whole game, wouldn't it? Suddenly, it's not about outrunning death. It's about trying to figure out why death is doing this. Why pick Stephanie's family? What makes them so special or maybe so unlucky?
Exactly. And that brings us back to William Bludworth. If he really gets death's game, maybe he can help Stephanie break free from it, or at least give her some answers.
He could be the key to understanding everything, the premonitions, the connection to Stephanie's grandmother, maybe even death itself. Imagine what secrets he could reveal.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this one creepy thought. What if death isn't just some random force, but like a thinking being with a plan? What if it's picking people on purpose to have these premonitions, putting them on a path, and then just watching it all play out?
That is a terrifying thought, and it's one Bloodlines seems to be playing with. It suggests that death might have a real agenda, and Stephanie's family is right in the middle of it.
So it's not about escaping death anymore, but about figuring out why you were chosen in the first place. And that's a seriously chilling twist for Final Destination.
For sure. It looks like Final Destination. Bloodlines has the potential to be more than just a scary movie. It could be a really thought-provoking exploration of fate, free will, and what death really means.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We've definitely given you lots to think about. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and maybe, just maybe, keep an eye out for any signs that death might be coming for you.